Hi, this is Andy Goodman with Recruiting and Coaching Solutions powered by Leaders Edge Training. And today I want to talk to my real estate agent friends out there, and I want to show you the 90-second listing presentation. I know what you're thinking. Andy said 90 seconds. We're getting our stopwatch. Well, in full disclosure, I may go a couple seconds past it just to slow it down enough so you can kind of get a feel for what the process is and the purpose behind the steps. Fair enough? All right, so let me paint the scenario for you. We're at the listing. We've met the sellers at the front door. We've paid a compliment, broken the ice, and built some rapport with the sellers. And now we're sitting at the kitchen table, and it's time for you to get your stopwatch and press go now. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't want to take a listing for the sake of taking a listing. Matter of fact, I want to ask you a question. Are you familiar with the expired list? You're not? Well, I've taken the liberty of printing one out. And what I've discovered is there's over 372 people in your local area that have not been able to sell, and they've wound up on the expired list. These folks have two things in common. Number one, they couldn't sell, and number two, they picked the wrong agent. In order for us to avoid making the same mistake about each other, I want to follow a process. Can I explain what that process is? Great, thank you. Number one, I want to ask you a lot of questions about your move, where you want to go, when you have to be there, and really kind of find out what it is that's most important to you in the process of selling your house. Number two, I want to walk around the property with you, and I want you to show me, as if I were a buyer, all the positives, and if it's okay, some of the negatives, so I can get a clear picture as to what we need to do with your property. And if you don't mind, I might even make some suggestions that'll put some more money back in your pocket. Fair enough? Great. Once we're done looking at the property, we'll come back to the kitchen table, we'll sit down, and I'll show you why so many people work with me and how I'm able to help so many sellers stay off the expired list and get great price and terms for their property. At that point, you'll have spent some time with me, getting to know me. You'll get to see what my process is and what the marketing looks like. I'll get to know you and what your motivation is and see the property. And at that point, we can make a mutual decision about each other, whether or not I can help you and you want to work with me. And if we can make that mutual decision, we can go and talk about price, estimate of net, timing, and details. Fair enough? Great. And now you can stop your stopwatch, and I'm sure I'm close to that 90 seconds, but let me just go back and explain the purpose between the components, about the components of the presentation. First of all, it's important for us to understand that before we get to the listing, most sellers are having this conversation with each other. We're not signing anything tonight. We just want to hear what the price is. We just want to hear what they charge, that type of thing. So they have this opportunity to gain mindset. And the beauty of the 90-second listing presentation is you start off with the expired list, which is a fear of loss. You're basically throwing some cold water on them and saying, look, not everybody's successful in this market. Matter of fact, a lot of people aren't. And it gives you permission to show them a process. And when you're talking to analytical people, and there's a lot of analytical people out there, a process means that it works. And it also gives you control showing the process because you're following steps. The majority of the time is spent on that first step, which is assessing the motivation. During that step, you're asking questions like, what if you couldn't sell? What would you do? And the reason it's so important to find that out is because without motivation in this market, nothing is going to happen and you will wind up on the expired list. The other most important part about the process is we've put the pricing conversation off to the end. If you've noticed, we've talked about making this mutual decision after they've liked the marketing, whether we feel we can work together. And that is so critical because at the end of the day, the price does not really matter if they don't like you and your marketing. So that's the components, that's the steps involved for the 90-second listing presentation. Hopefully it was helpful to you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.